Brother Ron, and welcome to We All Be News Radio and TV, the news-free Dixie for the 21st century.
I got to ask the judge. I mean, you saying all this, I'm just processing this stuff in my mind. I want to know: do you believe that pedophilia can be cured? Can it be naturally cured?
No, it can't. I had quite a few people I had to sentence for child molestation. And when you would get these reports, I'd make them detailed. And they do stuff like putting transducers on the uh, defendant's penis, and they would show porn, and they would see what he got an erection on. So these folk have 4%, 3% erections on man-woman sex, but 85 to 96, 97% full erections on depictions of adults having sex with children. You know, what somebody gets a hard on for literally is kind of hard to change. So the only thing you could do was chemically castrate them to safely release them, and they'd have to be mandatorily monitored for life, basically, on my order, which I always ensured. But based on that, I was vehemently opposed to the scouts letting in known practitioners.
The Boy Scouts of America, you talking about?
Boy Scouts of America. I'd been a scoutmaster for about 10, 15 years at that time. And 12 to 15 years at that time. And I was active in scouting because I had been a Boy Scout. My father had been a Boy Scout down in the hood in Kansas City years and years ago. And it got a lot of young black kids the opportunity to man up when they came from single parent, female head of household situations. I had a lot of boys that I had mentored and had in my scouting programs, and some of them, one of them had command of a nuclear aircraft carrier. Another one was a Tomcat pilot. One of them is up for promotion to, well, he has a brigadier general in the Army. So they're doing well, and they thanked me for it. So I didn't like to see, that's from 40 years ago up to about 30 to 25 years ago. So when they started that, I just said, no way, and I bailed. And now you see all of these commercials on TV where these law firms are soliciting business, which we used to not be able to do, based on the Boy Scouts of America have gone bankrupt. They cost you your innocence, so don't let your chance to get compensation for what was done to you. The Boy Scouts let in known pedophiles. And I warned them that this was going to happen, and I'm warning the country right now this is going to happen if you let these trannies and other people who have these perversions that aren't even in the closet get their hands on these children. That is not good. It is going to happen because they can't help it.
What about the Vatican, though? Why the Vatican ain't bankrupt, Judge? Why the Vatican hasn't been bankrupt?
Because they are a sovereign state.
Okay.
And all of the people that love Jesus are not going to let the Vatican go down in flames. No way.
This is a crazy world, man.
I know. The Democratic Party is trying to turn the same crowd that they got turned loose on the Boy Scouts of America. They're going to turn a light group on to children all across the country.
Wow. Well,
I said this was going to happen going on 30 years ago when they first started it. And then they got court cases saying they had to admit them into the scouting programs. And I'm going, for goodness sakes, what are you doing? These scoutmasters take these kids up into the woods, in the deep woods and tents, and they're up there with them in the dark of night with nobody looking for a week at a time. You don't, and they shower, and you got to go in there and deal with them when somebody slips on the soap and scrapes an arm. all these little naked boys running around. You do not want somebody that gets off and gets an erection dealing with these boys. And then they tried to bring girls in to clear it up and put camouflage on. You remember when about 4 or 5 years ago, they started admitting girls to the scouting programs. I said that was dead wrong because these boys needed a man up thing desperately because they were not getting it at home. And you put little girls in there and you can't do that. And you do not need male adult scout leaders out on a week-long sojourn with a bunch of little 12, 13-year-old girls under his exclusive care. That is a formula for disaster, but that was there for trying to control it. Control damage control. So now it's come out. They've gone bankrupt because of actions against them trying to get damages for all of the boys that got molested by perverts. That's the same thing they're doing right now in the schools, in the public libraries, and as a part of the Democratic Party policy.
You know, I just, it's crazy because I know, I mean, Democrats have never been good for black folk. What you telling me? I mean, it wasn't, you know, the Klan was started by the dang Democrats. I mean, Nathan Bedford was a Democrat. You know what I'm saying? I just, boy, they have not done any good for black folks.
Black people got something delivered to them by LBJ, who is a real strange guy.
Yeah, he was.
Again, remember what I told you about your legacy? You have no children.
Mm-hmm.
I met 2 of LBJ's sons. One was by Marie Brown. Marie Brown, you can usually see in old pictures of LBJ. He'll be standing on one row of some podium or bleachers, and his wife, Lady Bird, is standing to his left. The next row behind him to his right is always Marie Brown. That was his mistress for years. She had a son by him in 1965 that I met, whom I met years ago. She introduced me. He wasn't full grown at the time, but he is now. And he looks just like LBJ, just spitting image of LBJ. Same tall height and everything.
Had the big ears too.
Yeah, big ears too, literally. And she had him in 1965 when he was U.S. president. She also introduced me to another son born in 1966 that wasn't hers, but was LBJ's son by a black secretary in the White House. He looks just like LBJ, except he's got a slight tan. Now, here's the backstory on LBJ. When he got first elected to a state office, he took advantage of something. Out of the goodness of his heart, he had set up a school for blacks and Mexicans so that they could learn to read and write. He taught in that school. So he taught these minorities in a school that he set up for minorities. Well, he was angry because the local sheriff killed his dog out of malice. So he decided to take on the system. He registered these blacks and Hispanics to vote, and he organized a pickup transport service to take them to the polls. So minorities are responsible for him being elected to his first position. And he said when he was president, some may be surprised at what I'm going to do. I'm a good old boy, yeah, but I'm interested in the good of my constituents. When I got elected to a position statewide where my constituents were rednecks, then I dealt with redneck interest. When I became senator from the state of Texas, my horizons expanded. I represented the entire state of Texas, not just my limited redneck constituents. When I became vice president, that was a bigger field, a bigger circle I had to deal with. Now I'm president of the United States, and I intend to vigorously represent all of my constituents for what I perceive to be the best long-term interest of a country I love. Now, the Civil Rights Act of 1964 is all LBJ. John F. Kennedy, before assassination, got introduced the Civil Rights Act, proposed. It was very weak. LBJ says it was too weak. So what he did is he reformulated the whole thing, made it much stronger, and in a stroke of brilliance, he cast it as a military bill. The preamble says, whereas the United States of America is engaged in a life or death struggle against the forces of totalitarianism and communism throughout the world, whereas the military is the first line of defense, whereas the military has long been integrated, whereas morale is the most important factor in the ability of the military to defend our way of life, whereas the base commanders cannot control what happens to large numbers of their personnel who are discriminated against by race, color, creed, nationality, national origin, religion, whereas it is important for these people to have the highest morale so they can defend the country. Be it resolved that we need this civil rights bill so that the troops of the United States do not have their morale reduced by discrimination, and that includes their extended families, etc. That's what the Civil Rights Act is about. And LBJ is famous for going around with his 6'4", going on 6'5" tall self, and literally leaning on some of his former colleagues in the Senate and saying, look, last year I let you vote against these niggers, but this year they're going to get everything they want. And I dare you to attack this bill and not support it, because I'm going to crucify your ass for being commie. You hear me?
They called it the Johnson treatment, right? Was it the
the Johnson treatment? These niggas gonna get it this year. Even
so he was like Michael Jordan. He was a bully.
Yeah,
he was a bully. His
teammate.
All right, go. They doing it. There they go again. All right, Judge.
Damn.
I'm used to it now, man.
So it's a little bit much on the coincidence part. So, we get this thing going on where, LBJ isn't what he was. Now, this safety net, he's famous for saying this nation consists of two separate nations, and we cannot have that. We're going to get something so everybody's on equal standing. But you see, you know what happened? It was wrong. Nobody anticipated this.
Okay.
Certain ones of our sisters and poor white women found out that the more babies they had, the bigger their checks. So rather than having babies based on how well they could support them, how well they could take care of their home, they had babies as the basis for their income to support themselves. So in other words, they started breeding to this new environment of the number of children determines how big your paycheck is. Have more babies. Do not worry about being able to support the babies you have. Have the babies so you can support yourself. Give a little piece of it to Big Mama or Madea or Medea, the character that one of those other time colored folk in Hollywood is about. That's his thing. He's gay too. So we get a bad situation. And in 1975, 6 and 7 and 8, I became aware when I went to interview black females that had 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 babies that they were getting a check for. When I went to the projects, I go off into Nickerson Gardens, Jordan Downs and all the stuff used to be in Memphis. I'd go off in there, it'd be 5, 6 women smoking heavily, cloud of smoke all in the room, and all these little young kids running around with snot dried on their faces and dirty and food all over their clothes and stank to high heavens because they hadn't had a bath in 2 or 3 weeks. And they're coming, little Ian, go get my cigarettes, you little black, and so and so, just like your no good dog ass daddy, blah, 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 blah. Can of Schlitz small liquor, Coke 45, 16 ounce in one hand, cigarette in the other, either tobacco or reefer. That was before the 40 ounce. And they're calling their kids all these bad things. And I would warn them about it, but they took no heed. And these kids who were children, 1975, 6 and 7 and 8, 10 years later, they're teenagers or they're grown. And they're 18, 17 with 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 kids that they fathered on 12, 13-year-old girls. Next generation, they're grown males, but not men because they got no man training. And their mother is now a great grandmother. And everybody's been taught the N-word from great granny, Medea, Mama Dear, you know, and Mud Dear. And now it's hip for everybody to use the N-word. Yeah, that's my N. You know, the dog, what's happening, dog? How you doing, dog? That's my N, you know. And trying to get street cred, rap artists incorporated the street language. It didn't come from black men. It came from dysfunctional 12, 13, 14-year-olds who were 18 and 17 being tried as adults. I'm interviewing in their apartment that they have because they've got 7 kids that stink to high heavens running around in front of me getting underfoot that they do not have under control because they aren't even potty trained. Common problem was, Lloyd Brown, they messing with me. I couldn't come to court. Why didn't you come to court? The judge about to issue a warrant for your arrest. Well, see, my kid, you know, like this plumber talking about it, my kids don't stopped up the toilet, so I had to be here to let him in. And I heard this over and over. And when I even did that arbitration on TV, somebody would fix a place up and their local law required that they have so many Section 8 tenants in their apartment complex or their apartments, and they've invested and they spent $15,000 beautifying and upgrading an apartment, and the plumbing's ruined because the kids aren't properly potty trained, and they come back, Your Honor, I don't know what to do. My witness here, let's hear from the witness. I'm a plumber, blah, blah, blah. What'd you find? Well, the first time I went to the apartment, there was 9 feet, Your Honor, 9 foot of hard compacted toilet tissue in the line. Went back the second time, there's 15 feet. This time, the third time, there was 12. These kids use up a roll of toilet paper every time they sit on the toilet.
Wow.
Lady, can't you potty train, the toilet train, your house break your puppies, you know, people puppies? What's the matter?
Right.
So, by the way, I'm not mad at Trump because he wouldn't rent to the Section 8 type, because I wouldn't want him living next to me either.
I mean, if he could get away with it, it is what it is. But I know we've been on here for a minute, but I want to just put some thoughts out there. I appreciate your time, Judge. I know thinking about the voting thing, how they push it. I know tomorrow will be the 3rd anniversary of Dick Gregory's transition, but he talked about in 1968 when he ran for the office that he actually got 9 million votes from Pennsylvania, and he took it back. They gave him 9 million votes. You know, you can find documents, you can find newspaper articles from back then. They had to take it back, so they were doing that back then. If the man, he could have won the presidency. I don't know, but they gave him 9 million votes in Pennsylvania.
Of vote fraud.
Oh, 1960 with the Kennedys in Illinois, right? Chicago. Nixon really won that. And
Bush
Hubert Humphrey
got elected because of voting fraud, not voter fraud, but voting fraud in Miami.
Florida,
Miami
right.
area, Broward County.
George
What
B. Bush,
happened
yeah,
was
right.
Harold Ford went down there, and as the expert on voting fraud, they asked him to look it over. He okayed a stack of ballot recordations that were printed off record he didn't inspect the machines, and they were filled up from 4 or
Was it
5
senior
prior
or junior?
elections.
Senior or junior?
Senior.
Okay.
And by the way, he's got a consulting firm down there that is paid for on a long-term lease by 4 prominent Cubano Republicans as his reward.
Interesting.
See, I'm exposing people. I looked at
But
voting
they tried
record
to steal the election from him then, right? Back in the day. They tried to steal the election from Air Force.
1974 found all these ballots behind the screen down in the county office building, in the basement down there downtown, where they had hidden the votes, hidden the ballots. See, that's the danger on these mail-in ballots. And these people want so desperately to get their queen, Kamala Queen, who pushes.
Talked about the K word, Camilla
Again,
Cruella DeVille.
Yeah, Kamala DeVille Harris.
It's like, but you know what's funny though? It's not funny. I think Donald Trump is brilliant.
California, by the way, her nickname out in the Bay Area was Kama Sutra Harris.
Okay, we'll roll with that.
She put the Kama Sutra on Willie.
Oh yeah, Will, sweet Willie, sweet Dick Willie Brown from Texas. but what Trump did was smart. I don't think people really caught it when he announced that she was going to be the vice president pick for the Democrats. He said, "I ain't like the way she treated Kavanaugh. She really gave him a hard time." He already knows it's gonna come down to the courts deciding, like it did 20 years ago. She gonna make sure you're on the right side of Kavanaugh and some of the other people on the court to rule in his favor. I think that's genius what he did. It was like really genius.
Yeah, and see what the deal is you remember she badmouthed Kavanaugh, called
real
him a
bad,
liar,
yeah, horrible.
The woman accuser who struck me as somebody a little psycho.
Yeah, it's kind of MK Ultra special project.
Yeah, and remember when Biden himself got accused, she talked about how credible his accusers were. Now she's backing him. Isn't that a little hypocritical, particularly to show you how dishonest prosecutors are because they have no integrity?
I know what I'm gonna do on my platform. I'm gonna bring on people like Gregory Johnson's mom. They found him hanging in San Jose State at a frat home back on November 22nd, 2008, and they swept that on the rug on her watch. And then also the father of Matrice Richardson. I'm gonna have him on. He's a Facebook friend of mine.
Don't forget Orange County, where all of those family members of murder victims have said she tried to exploit that. So now they're on the side of the convicted murder suspect. So just let
I remember that. I read about that.
Cop out for God's sakes instead of trying to create a sideshow out of this.
That's insane.
I've never seen that happen.
It is Cali. It's Hollywood out there. But you know what? I'm glad you brought that up. And you know what? They're trying to scrub the internet now because Joe Biden trying to change his narrative, of course, of being on the right side of history with the civil rights thing. He's talking about we don't want no Bull O'Connor mentality or Bull O'Connor mentality.
Well, let me say this. It's a California tradition. Evel Younger, who was California Attorney General under Ronald Reagan, was one of the most corrupt people you can imagine when he was DA for Los Angeles County. I just got a copy of a book called Glass House by Louis Tackwood and the Freedom Foundation. Louis Tackwood astonished me because I'd known him. I just thought he was a street brother who happened to be a paramedic, right? Guess what? So that got him in to every doggone black organization out there because the brother was a paramedic, right? Somebody would fall out or get shot, he would take care of it on the QT. Guess what I heard when I walked in to observe a murder trial is a law student. State your name for the record. I said, what's he doing up there? I'm Louis Tackwood. Would you state your rank, please, Lieutenant? And what department are you in? Well, I'm a lieutenant with Los Angeles Police Department. And they stylized him as their #1 undercover agent, not informant. And this dude had been in every black meeting, every black organization. He was the one to go to if you got shot, cut up everything, and didn't want it on record as a paramedic. And here this guy is all the time as a lieutenant, Los Angeles Police Department, sworn officer, and he has infiltrated all of these black organizations. So guess what he had to say in his book?
What?
He, with the cooperation of the LAPD's burglary squad, broke in and burglarized Angela Davis's home and stole all of those weapons out of her home that were involved in that breakout at the Kern County Courthouse where the Soledad brothers were being tried.
The Jonathan
It
Jackson, George
resulted in
Jackson
that
brother.
shootout
Yeah.
where all the people died and she got prosecuted and acquitted. But in any event, I knew the weapons. I knew Angela Davis because I knew one of her boyfriends. So I knew her from back when. When I met her, he was chasing her down the street because they were having a little squabble. So I kind of intervened. So I know her from there. Nice sister. But what happened was Ronald Reagan kept saying that the University of California had all these communists that had infiltrated it. LA Times challenged him and said, find one. So they came up with Angela Davis, and they said, oh, please. She's a scholar, a professor, and when she was 19 years old, she was in the Che Lumumba Club, and that's harmless. She said, no, she's a real communist. So Louis Tackwood details in his book how they had to prove that Angela Davis was dangerous as a communist, which is why he went to these meetings, and I saw him at these meetings where the topic of the discussion was the Soledad brothers. So I'm watching him rah-rah this little 15-year-old who was related to one of them. He was a little
Come on,
off the deep end.
Jonathan Jackson, the brother of George Jackson.
Yeah,
His brother,
Jonathan
Jonathan
Jackson. He's 15 years old. So Louis Tackwood details how he quietly psyched this kid into everything's depending on you. You got to drive the van because all of them, including your brother, are depending on you to deliver the weapons. So he gave him the weapons that had been burglarized from Angela's pad. And that's how she got hooked up in it. And he details this in the book and the meetings he had with A.L.L Younger about it. That was the Attorney General of California, who had been L.A. County District Attorney. He also talks about somebody whose funeral I attended, Franco Diggs, who was Captain Franco Diggs in the Panther Party. Well, Franco Diggs had a heroin connection, so they wanted to get rid of him. So he details how they put him in a cell next to some people that dealt with Franco Diggs. And he started talking about, yeah, man, dude snitched on me. Who snitched on you? Oh, that Franco MF, blah, 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 blah. So he planted the idea in mind, and sure enough, Franco Diggs comes up dead not long after that. And he says he had meetings with these people, and they detailed how they were going to kill him, and he describes what it was about. And from what I know, from what I used to do, you couldn't have known that if you hadn't been there, literally. So he details stuff like that in his book, and how A.L.L Younger, the Attorney General for the state of California, and Ronald Reagan were complicit in a whole lot of this stuff that Nixon came to be styled under the Nixon administration, and that Watergate thing is dirty tricks. So he details how that was set up, and
Now I know you told me like some years ago, Senku, the guy Patty Hearst, the Symbionese Liberation Army. You told me about
I knew him personally, Ronald DeFreeze.
Yeah.
He went to my junior high school, and everybody used to kick his ass to take his lunch money. So Ronald DeFreeze was Senke. And Louis Tackwood details how Ronald DeFreeze met up with A.L.L Younger and Ronald Reagan. Now, there's another guy that graduated from law school a year ahead of me, and I won't reveal his name because he's still around kicking and he doesn't want this to be known. I promised him I wouldn't reveal his name, but I was in Nashville for a few months up there with legal services. I got sent there. And I'm talking to him long distance. He said, man, you know, I got hired by the California Attorney General's office. I said, yeah, man, congratulations. You one of the few got a gig. He said, man, you know who I saw last week? I said, who? That ass Ronald DeFreeze. I said, no shit. He went to junior high with me at John Muir Junior High. He said, man, this dude was coming out of A.L.L Younger's office.
Wow.
I said, no way. So he called me back a couple of weeks later. Man, they had another meeting. I stopped the fool. I said, man, didn't you go to John Muir? He said, yeah. He said, well, I know you. Well, he kind of shied away. A few weeks later, he said, man, keep up with this about Patty Hearst being kidnapped. I said, yeah. He said, guess who Cinque is? I said, who? Ronald DeFreeze. I said, no shit, no way. Not his punk ass. He says, yeah. He's Cinque. What the hell is he doing coming out of A.L.L Younger's office and then being taken into Ronald Reagan's office the floor down? And I saw him come out of both places. Why is Cinque meeting with the governor of California and the Attorney General of California 2 weeks before Patty Hearst gets kidnapped? I said, no shit, man. He said, you know, they're trying to make this look credible. Like I told you, you needed to be protected because they're communists and all of these folks. They didn't use the term terrorist then. That's something new. But all of these folks sitting up here trying to overthrow the government, man, we talked about it a lot of times. That's some deep stuff.
So there was a false flag operation to try to get people to buy into this communist sphere, right? So you think he faked his death then, Ronald DeFreeze, or you think he actually killed?
No, I talked to somebody who was there, some cops that I later came to know. See, what happens is these guys tried to surrender, but the house was on fire, and witnesses, they tell me that they took long poles and shoved these guys back in there so they'd perish in the fire. No witnesses.
Yeah, so he couldn't really turn, against expose Reagan and them for what they did. Wow. That's crazy. But did Bill Clinton pardon Patty Hearst years later, or did she get pardoned or something like that?
Yeah, but see, this is the kind of thing I'm telling all these folk, trying to get across to them. We're talking about, we got to help black unity at all costs.
No, we don't. No, we don't.
See, you get to talking this smack, you will be infiltrated by agents, provocateurs, snitches, undercover cops, sworn agents for the FBI and other homeland security types. You can't do this. Like when that dude got to talking about he was going to burn down Cleveland, it was running.
Was it Cleveland or Louisville? Was it Louisville?
Yeah.
Or Louisville? Okay.
I thought he was talking about Cleveland.
I'm thinking about Breonna Taylor because he all about this Breonna Taylor thing. So
yeah,
I don't know what I don't really. Okay.
Yeah, they were demonstrating in Cleveland, talking about they're going to burn down Cleveland if something didn't get done in the other jurisdiction about Breonna Taylor's killers. As I reiterated at the beginning of this conversation, that ain't no crime. You know, it's a tragic accident.
But my thing is this though, Judge. Like you look at white folks, look at the history of America, they about vendettas and stuff. If they think you wrong them, they're not gonna wait for the court. They're gonna take it, they're gonna get their vigilante, they're gonna do what they gotta do, extrajudicial style. So I don't think we really about that life. If we really think somebody wrong or kill one of our people, we shouldn't let no George Zimmerman be walking around if you believe he actually killed Trayvon Martin, violated his civil rights.
Well, let us look at Trayvon Martin.
Okay.
Black Lives Matter cites that at the very beginning of their manifesto. But let's talk about all of the hoopla that CNN, Anderson Cooper generated. All that talk about castle doctrine, and now we see how it works. Breonna Taylor died, but her boyfriend was not charged because he was operating under the castle doctrine. So all these people that are talking this bull about it doesn't apply to black people, yeah, it does. Living example. Black people can't get armed. I've heard that because that'll give police a legitimate right to kill us. Well, if you're a punk, go for it. If that's your logical thing, you cop out and don't know how to man up, well, that's your excuse. But see, all of this flies in the face of what the realities are. So here you have somebody with this black organization where black folk are getting armed. And he's talking about we're going to burn something down. That guarantee that gives the FBI, Homeland Security, and that whole COINTELPRO thing an opportunity and cause to infiltrate. So now you'll have more snitches and agents in there than in members. Another thing, too. My old man took me to shoots first time. I think I was either 6, 7 years old. I've been around guns my whole life, all right? I'm looking at what they were doing on that march, and I'm saying, damn, did anybody teach these guys anything about gun safety? They were sweeping people with the muzzles. They had live ammunition in there. Somebody had a negligent discharge up in the place. You know, I'm saying, damn, these guys are lucky they didn't kill anybody. And they're going around and they all have on the black uniforms and all the body armor, and it's obvious that they'd never dressed up in it before. Some folk look like they were about to pass out in the hot Georgia sun. I'm going, damn, you know, this isn't a good showing. I mean, maybe it's good to come up and say, guys, you can be armed. See, nobody's gunning you down. And what was it? Nobody black gonna come out carrying guns without the police killing all of them. There you go. Right. Several hundred black folk with arms and nobody's gunning them down. Did you see anybody gunned down? No, they've been demonstrating again. Anybody get gunned down? You know what I suspect? They're already well infiltrated, and the people are saying these folk are not dangerous yet. Let them go do this thing, because now they're not doing what they did with 50 years ago, clamping down on it. These places where they've been doing this have Democratic mayors and Democratic governors, and they are not doing what used to happen. So they're escalating, and at some point somebody's got to say, all right, public peace, dignity, and order's got to be restored. We got some black folk, you know who they are. We've infiltrated them. They got the guns. It's, you know, our side's for Second Amendment too, so they're right now they're furthering our own purposes. We don't like the Democrats trying to take everybody's guns away and take the police too. That will be, can you see living in the hood where you can't be armed? That only the thugs and the little bitch boys, lesbians with dicks got guns? You know, that's bad. Why'd they say that? You know what I've been telling you about? There's no difference between lesbians and hood rats other than that the hood rats got dicks. If a lesbian went to sleep after praying to the fairy gods and one of them waved a magic wand over them and they woke up with a dick, the next morning it'd be no different from the hood rats, because the hood rats and the lesbians are raised as girls. They like pussy, but the lesbians got pussies and hood rats got dicks. So if the magic wand made the lesbians, enabled the lesbians to wake up with dicks, there'd be more difference. Men don't let this shit that goes on in our communities happen. That is unmanly. We're supposed to be about public peace, dignity, and order. They're always comparing themselves to the Italian mobs. But one thing about the mafia, they don't let shit happen in their own neighborhoods. They kill your ass for doing stuff that the thugs and hood rats do in the black community. They be killed.
Yeah, that's why I say, well, we read about their life. Yeah.
For instance, there's a restaurant in Brooklyn. It's in a rundown, seedy area. But nobody locks their cars. And little old ladies wear ankle-length mink coats and real bling. And they walk off in there, don't have to worry about anything. They make no bones about the fact that it's straight-up mafia in there. And they even have these days where everybody, including the black elected officials, has on a pin saying Knight of Columbus, and that's the sign you're a friend of the mob. So they don't bother you. They protect the women and children. And they used to have my picture up in there. Buzz, the judge is here. He dispense justice. He's such a rare commodity. Come on in, Judge. Luigi, come and bring Carlo Bernie Bars up. Say hello to the judge. Say hi to the captain over there. And there's an NYPD captain drunk off some beer. And he and his buddies, a bunch of lieutenants, got 10 pitchers of beer on the table, and they get drunk as hell. They're not going to get DUI because the mob's going to take them home. And you ask them, you know, I asked one of the studio types I took by there. He was kind of freaked out. Why doesn't anybody lock their car? Hey, we control the criminalities in the area. We don't allow no criminalities around here without our permission. This is a decent family restaurant. We ain't gonna let no criminalities occur. It's right here. So you sit down and enjoy your meal. You know, it's a thing. Now, you can see the place. They used to use it frequently as a set for the Sopranos. And one
wow, okay.
He was a made man, retired. He got a 3 or 4 times broken nose, you know. Big guy say, that kind of freaked me out. There's somebody in there.
Now, this ain't the place where they killed Crazy Joe Gallo at, right? This ain't the place that clams. It is?
No, not real. I mean, you know.
Okay.
They don't allow criminality. It's safeguard. So it's like this guy say, "Hey, you come freak me out, Judge." And so that episode, they had the waiter in there whacked him. He gave me chills. I mean, I wasn't right for the rest of the day. They shouldn't have done that, you know. And then you got a conversation that illustrates the point. This really happens. Some of the executives just freak the hell out. Hey, what we gonna do about this situation we got here? This guy got his face all cut up with the razor by these youth. What was that all about? Boss, dude. Well, what kind of handle criminalities like that? I understand you got the sharp instrument. What was it, a razor? He recovered, he get some character line, but somebody must have conversation with these youth. We can't have that kind of criminality. This should not be done where we live. So, Carlo, you gonna take care of that? Yeah, boss, I'll take care of it. See to it. Make sure that don't happen again. So they say, is that real? Yeah. What the hell do you think this is? They planned a scripted conversation for your ass because you knew you were coming in from Hollywood.
A tourist spot, huh? Tour guide.
That is not what's going on. They're talking about law and order. What the hell do you think? See, for real, when these old folk can't get their pensions, the mob makes sure they get them. When somebody's daughter gets, they make sure there's some redress, just like in The Godfather. That's how they survive, because they are an alt government for these people. That's how they got into the American system. They set up an alt government. They collect their form of taxes. They provide protection, but it's got to be paid for. So the bottom line is we make sure nobody jacks you around when you're doing a business other than us, and we don't jack you around too much. Now it's reduced to a system. You pay for your insurance. Doesn't anybody come off in here and get drunk in your establishment without getting dealt with? We deal with that person, and then nobody else wants to come in there and get drunk and unruly. That's call us, you get a problem, we make sure it goes away.
I like that. But you know,
we don't sell drugs where we live. We don't have prostitution where we live. We don't have any burglaries where we live. We don't have any assaults where we live, unless it's us doing the thing. But you guys are civilians. You don't have to worry about that. You know, we make sure there are no stray bullets when somebody gets hit with a stray bullet on our equivalent of not a drive-by, but a stand-in.
Well, you know, Judge, and it's interesting that they take care of their own. They look out for each other. But you know what's sad? Think about John Lewis, the fact that he died. He was, congressman for so long from that district in Atlanta. He did not do anything, from my understanding, to help out H. Rap Brown. He's the guy who killed the sheriff deputy, confessed in prison that he did it. Why they still got this man dying of cancer in prison? That's a shame on the civil rights people, man.
Look at H. Rap Brown. I know what happened to him because I saw it. I was with one of his bodyguards for the week he was in L.A. at that time. We told him not to have anything to do with the US organization. Ron Karinga came over to have a face-to-face with him. So Karinga, I heard it, said, we're going to take your luggage to the airport. So what they did is they put a carbine in his luggage, and he's already under a federal indictment. So he is an indicted person, a person indicted for a felony with a weapon. That's another federal charge that they got the proof on him right there, bang, because Ron Karinga and the US organization set him up. Now, Karinga and the US folk are the ones that started Kwanzaa, which is why I refuse to celebrate it. It started in 1966 in Lamert Park off of Crenshaw Boulevard. I used to go. And what it was is they all black folk were encouraged to talk about the revolution and everything else. And then it turns out that his boys were taking shorthand notes and they were snitching to the SIS unit, the LAPD, Special Investigative Services Unit, and to the FBI. So every time these fools would be at a meeting from the US organization with these shorthand notepads, a few days later, the FBI would pick you up from UCLA or, Cal State and drive you 20-some miles downtown LA, take all your money and your phone book. They'd confiscate that. And they'd be charged again. Why did you say so-and-so? I refuse to say a damn thing. I want a lawyer. Well, why did you say such and such? I refuse to answer that. See, with the FBI, you couldn't say, I don't remember this, or I don't know anything about it, because then they'd tell you what it is. And if you said, I don't have anything about it, you would find out what I found 20 years later when I'm practicing law. I got a guy with 17-count federal indictment. They acquit the jury. I get the jury to acquit him on 16 counts. The 17th count is knowingly making a false statement to the FBI because they're telling you why you're there. So when you say, I don't know anything about it, obviously you're lying because they just told you something about it. So they would get you on that technicality. So you can say that to the local yokels. But when it comes time to deal with the FBI, you would be better to just say, I state the Fifth Amendment. Don't say I don't know anything about it. Say I don't know what you're talking about. Just say I refuse to make a statement. They'll go on and just go to the next thing. I refuse to make a statement. What do you have to say about so-and-so? Well, that's a misunderstanding because at the time I was in class. Okay, you can say that. You can verify that because that day we had to sign on for a handout. So you can have me in class. You can go check that out. I don't have anything to say about it. Or you can say something about, I have a right under the First Amendment to say any damn thing I want to say when it comes to politics. Screw you. That's okay.
I mean, I know he had a target on his back.
But see, we used to get these guys. Why are you brothers taking shorthand notes? You stop that shit again. The mile-liner needs to know. Damn the mile-liner now with his fat self. Get your ass out of here.
Right.
Or put that shit down. And you better not have a recorder. We jacking you. Okay? Search this fool. You better not lay hands on me. The mile-liner will take care of this. Damn him. See, so that's why Rap Brown is sitting in jail.
I mean, but
Ron Karinga, the same folk that started Kwanzaa.
Yeah, I know that part, but I'm saying, like, even with that part, he cleaned up. He changed his image a little bit. He cleaned up the west end of Atlanta.
Yeah, but you can't let him out because he didn't go sell drugs.
He pushed the drug dealers out.
He didn't go out and talk all this rap rhetoric of glorifying dysfunction. He ain't showing his bare ass. He ain't a female who was selling massive quantities of drugs as a drug queenpin. He ain't some psycho 15-year-old bitch who in Tennessee, and I know about it, set up a plan that says I'm a juvenile. They can't put me in jail for murder, which was and she went around and had a plan to go bring her victims home and shoot them so she didn't have any problem. See, he's not one of them. He was trying to stop them. So he stays in jail.
But it said the dude that killed the sheriff deputy, he confessed years ago. The black man who did, he said, I did it. Why y'all got this dude in jail?
He's a political figure. He stays in jail.
Now even Kim Kardashian just can talk to Donald Trump or do something for Donald Trump to get him
When did she
aroused in the
ever do
case.
anything? When did she ever do anything that reflected political acumen?
Oh my God. This world is insane, Judge. I thank God we have people like you still around. Offer some type of levity to the situation. But I can keep you on the phone. But like what so we can follow you on Judge Joe Brown TV. That's your handle on Twitter, right?
At Judge Joe Brown TV, I picked up 6,000 followers in a month and a half, which is good. But I picked up more, but Twitter ain't gonna let me have them. See, they sidetrack what I tweet. And the only way you're going to get it is if somebody that follows me retweets it.
But you know what, Judge? I got to tell you this. I give you credit for the Black Lives Matter, getting people hooked on their website, getting people hooked, talking about Kamala Sutra Harris. You was the first person to ring the alarm. You like the canary in the mine shaft. You actually brought that.
You
Even
know,
the agenda.
CNN and all
Even the agenda, you
they
brought
talk
that up.
about so-and-so put it out on Twitter, you know, about so-and-such. They never touch my stuff, see.
But they watching it, though. You know you got more followers than you have. They shadow ban me, hell. They be doing that stuff to me. But the influence could be felt. The fact that you are having your words amplified, and it's like an echo chamber right now. And people are finally catching up to the agenda, to the Kama Sutra Harris, to Jim Crow Joe Biden. All these people. I mean, you've been talking about this for years, and now it's a mass.
And look at Black Lives Matter. They tried to hide their manifesto.
They changed around a little bit, yeah.
3 months ago, if you typed in Black Lives Matter on Twitter, it automatically popped the logo up, the whole logo, and the link just came on. All you had to do was type in blacklivesmatter.com, and the link popped up, and it went to the mantra. Now, if you type in Black Lives Matter, everything pops up, but what they take you to is a new thing where they're pimping out George Floyd, and they got George Floyd, a slideshow on him, and on Ferguson, and all this other shit. And then you got to go dig in
Mike Brown
and bring out their
right?
menu to find what we believe, and then go through some changes. And you can, if you keep through, find this. We are an affiliated associate of LGBTQIA+. That's what they say. And they also note, if you go further, that if you give them a donation, a portion of it goes to LGBTQIA+, and also to Act Blue, which is a Democratic Front political organization. And they also have the money amounts that they've donated to specific Democratic candidates around the country who they pushed. So you buy the t-shirts and everything else, what you're doing is pushing for the destruction of the family, and you're pushing for the destruction of masculinity. You're pushing for the promotion of pedophilia and a number of other things. Now, I tell you how far they have gotten. Mercedes-Benz, who has taken 6 straight constructor championships, and whose number one driver is now 6 times world champion and only has 2 things where he will not be the GOAT on. This year, they're predicting he will get his 7th championship, and that will tie the record. And in 2 more wins, which he's guaranteed to get, he will have the all-time record for the most wins in the entire 80-year history of Grand Prix racing. All right? Guess what Mercedes did? They took their historic silver Python, silver arrows that they have had over 80 years. Guess what color they are now?
What?
Black. And you know why they state they're black?
Why
In
they
honor
black?
of the Black Lives Movement. Guess what? They've got a big picture of their grandstanding. Lewis Hamilton, the only black in Formula One and the greatest driver ever. His teammate next to him on his left, who is now the number 3 in the championship, to his right, the number 2 man in the championship.
Wow.
In the top 10 drivers, best drivers in the world are all there. kneeling or showing support, standing at attention for Black Lives Matter. Now, what did they do to Kaepernick? But here is the highest paid athlete in the whole world, Lewis Hamilton, taking the knee for Black Lives Matter. Mercedes number 2 driver is next to him on the left. He's number 3 in the championship. A Dutchman who races for Red Bull is kneeling with him, and a Red Bull with this Dutchman Verstappen, who's kneeling for Black Lives Matter, have on their garage Black Lives Matter. That's Red Bull. And then the Ferrari 2 drivers behind him, the Alfa Romeo 2 drivers are behind him, and then the Haas team is peculiarly absent. That's the American team. But then they've got another team, so everybody's standing there in solidarity for Black Lives Matter. Wow. Now, that's international. Now, Mercedes-Benz, the absolute juggernaut who supplies Hamilton and his white co-driver, Bottas, with a $28 million car apiece to race at 240 miles an hour, going around curves at 180. They painted them black in honor of Black Lives Matter. Now, you see what time that is about? We want to save the polar bear and the whales and the tigers, you know, and the lions and the elephants and stuff. So we jumped in there with the elephants. We're the 2-legged African bipeds.
There you go. But
you know, we joined the panoply. See, save the African primates. The 2-leg kind, the ones that swing through the trees that weigh 800 pounds, the gorillas in the rainforest, and in the other forest, the chimpanzees and the bonobos. See, we joined in that group. We're endangered.
Wow.
And the elephants too. Don't forget that. We joined in that noble crowd. And the whales, save the whales. Even the save the damn dogs. Well, I like dogs. Some of my best friends in life have been dogs. Oh, I ain't got nothing against dogs. I like them.
That was cool.
But, you
know, what Truman say? If you want a friend in DC, get a dog, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would still ring true probably today. 2-legged ones or 4-legged ones. It's good to have friends. But Joe, I want to thank you.
Hey, what we call each other? Hey, dog, what's happening, man? You gonna roll, dog?
You know, I was thinking about too, Judd. I saw Joe Biden with Cardi B. I said they need to hire Warren Beatty to play Joe Biden, and Cardi B just be Cardi B and Bullwolf 2.0, make it a real election thing, Jackass the election movie. But Biden ain't it, man. He ain't it.
They got a hoe and a slut, acknowledged, self-confessed hoe and a slut, campaigning for Biden. I'm waiting for the Trump folk. If they ever do approach me, they got a judge and somebody that's paid his damn dues and will kick your fucking ass if you want to sit up there and get in my face talking about a man issue. I'll show you 55 years of some very dangerous martial arts, and I might do worse to you. And you somebody be very embarrassed by a 70-some-year-old man kicking his ass. Well, I'll do another number. I use a cane sometimes. I got all kinds of filthy tricks I can do with that.
I heard that. Well, okay. Well, I know you're a man of your word.
So in other words, I might campaign for Boss Trump, Mr. Trump.
Yeah.
No. You know what?
I'm listening.
There's a person that I represented. He lives in Memphis.
Okay.
There are 2 other clients I had in Memphis who back in the 80s were trying to get financing for their businesses. Well, the businesses are working. All 3 of them tell me they got their loans. One of them got a $500,000 loan from Trump. They had a peculiar requirement that they pay off the term loan in person. So when they showed up, they tell me that Trump had their contracts on the table. He looked at the check, said, "This is what you supposed to pay me?" I said, "Yeah." Tore the contract up, tore the check up, and said, "You repaid me by being successful." One of them tells me that Trump contacted him and said, "How's your daughter doing?" He said, "You remember I had a daughter? Yeah, wouldn't she be about 17 years old now?" I said,
Wow.
"Yeah." Said, "How's she doing in school?" "All right." Trump paid her entire school tuition.
Wow. Okay.
Room and board, everything, bought her a car. Who else can you say that about? When Jesse was running for president, I know a lot of people got a lot of bad things to say about Jesse. I understand, but he's certainly not the worst compared to John Lewis or Cummings out of Boston.
Baltimore, yeah.
He is Cummings, right?
Yeah,
I'm
that's
old,
coming.
You
No, you're right. You got it
man.
right. Yeah, about Baltimore.
Yeah.
You got Maryland.
Yeah. So anyway, he got the finance for both of Jesse's runs for president in the Democratic Party primary. He provided national headquarters free of charge. He's given, on executive order, more money to
HBCUs.
historical black colleges and universities than any other president since LBJ. He's done more for black businessmen, promoted more blacks to general officer or admiral. He's done more for black folk than anybody since LBJ. So it's interesting that the people that are most accused of being a racist by white folk happen to be somebody that did the most for black folk. So maybe that's got to do with the nature of the press. The white boys hated LBJ back in the 60s because they thought he should have been anti-war, but he wasn't. So they tried to call him racist, but everybody's going, "No, Big Daddy in the White House is, he's friend for black folk." But then they knew it. And now they need to learn that Trump is not one of these racist, low-down dogs who will appeal to your vote because they think you are firmly anchored to the demogatic plantation by chains and your ass ain't moving because you believe in them rather than understanding that politics is a business. And what are you getting? What have you done for me lately? That's the way everybody else does it. Unless they are firmly in control of a party. So the party is their creature, and they got to have loyalty to it. But you saw the Dixiecrats jump from the Democratic Party to the Republican, because the Republicans said, "Come on over, we'll help you out." And said, "Oh, okay, we're leaving." And the Democrats benefited by the black folk en masse going from Republican to Democrat. Remember, the Democrats were the party of the Ku Klux Klan, White Citizens Council, white racism, white rights, segregation now, segregation forever. So there was a switch. It's time we did something, And even if the Republican Party isn't about to do anything for us, we ought to consider just voting for a lot of Republicans for the hell of it on the national level so they can say, "Hey, this felt nice. We could use some more of this. Let's give them a few crumbs, maybe a slice of pie. Hell, invite them to dinner. Shit. We can
That's
have a
a good
nigga at the
idea.
table. We got, what's that boy that runs HEW, Health, Education, and Welfare, that thinks the dinosaurs are extinct because they didn't get on the ark. We got him, we let him in the house, he can curl up on the rug by the front door. Ain't he some kind of brain surgeon or something?
Ben Carson.
Ben Carson, yeah.
Oh,
we
yeah.
let that nigger boy up in here. We can write a few more, hell. Everybody found out these days, been going to Ancestry.com, DNA.com. Everybody got a few niggers in their family, damn, we can invite them in.
Yep, Judge.
Goddamn, have you done Ancestry.DNA.com and found out some of your relatives? Ain't that a bitch?
Yeah, you great. Well, Judge,
damn. Yeah. I even got a little bit wrong, I have to admit. I said, that's one of my answers. God damn, she fine as God damn. That's one. Woo, she fine. I even found out my housekeeper is my niece. We called each other brother and sister because her daddy is my now deceased older half brother. I didn't know I had until Ancestry.com and swim that.
Oh, Judge.
I know that name.
Mm-hmm.
I said, wait a minute. I call her and said, baby, what's your daddy's name? I said, God damn, look at this. I said, oh, she said, damn. I'm glad we didn't get something going on. Let's
All right,
go.
there you go.
Dad is your brother? I said, looks like it. I said, damn, Pops was getting around. Both of them dead now. And then it turned out I got another half brother from up there in Chicago where Pops was going around back in the 30s getting him some, I guess he was a ladies' man or something. But, you know, I liked him. I was sad to see him go, sadder to see him going than I was my mother, to tell the truth. But that's just because I got raised like that.
So you're not the only child, huh? You got brothers and sisters?
Yeah, I didn't know I had. So my housekeeper is my sister. You know, I call her actually my niece. She's active in politics around here. She's married, got a nice family. Ricky Stone, you know. I call her Ms. Round Rock. Got some stone been washed around. Stone is a round rock. So she's active in politics, still beautiful. She one time was Miss Tennessee. I guess it run in the family. Yeah, man, you know, I got the looks, man, still holding on to a little bit. I was the player, I won't lie, you know. I'm an old man, and I used to be asked, you can say what you doing practicing to be a dirty old man. Take a lot of practice. Come here, baby. Want to sit on daddy's knee? Diamonds, furs, candy, chocolate, jewelry, chocolate covered strawberries, diamonds, shit, baby. What you need?
All right, Judge. I hear you.
And
Thank
then
you,
some
Judge.
of the new players, man, you had to buy your pussy. Well, man, what the hell you care? You know, you getting it, you getting it.
Right.
If
you're
you
going to pay
got
for it
knocked
anyway,
the bottom
though.
out of it, it was good, and you wanted to keep the lights on so you could see what you were doing.
Yeah. You're going to pay for it
you know,
anyway.
got to pay the cost to be the
Yeah.
boss, you know.
That's right. That's right.
You know, mom, yo, daddy, yo, this been JoJo coming into you on your show. Eat to the tea, baby. Come fly with me. Up into the ionosphere. We go, have no fear as long as I'm here. As I walk about the land, the situation is well in hand. Step back, I give no slack as I go into my act. If you look down at the ground, you will see my feet do not touch the surface of the planet because I float. I do not touch ground because I become elevated. Touch me. I give you permission. See that your fondest dreams, hopes, fantasies, and imaginations have come true and manifest in the flesh. As I go, just remember this has been Judge Joe coming to you through the show. So, hey, it's been me. Come join me in your heads. The Spirit is with me. I am there for thee. So, Joe is on the go, and I gotta go.
Thank you, brother Judge. I love you madly, man. Don't man, got nothing on you. All right, thank you.
Wait, don't that. Yeah, two. Thumbs up. Two. Up. There you go.
I like that. Thank you.
All right, man. Later on.
Judge. Thank you.
Hey, everybody, this is Brother Ron. I am asking you all to do me a big favor. Think about supporting the We All Be movement. Your donation is tax deductible. The We All Be Group Incorporated is a recognized 501c3. And I'm just asking you all because I want to keep on bringing y'all quality work through the way that I know how to do best. And I'm going to sing my praises and toot my horn A lot of y'all were not hip to Dick Gregory until Brother Ron brought him on the We All Be platform, until that Django review we did. Y'all seen another side of Judge Joe Brown, and Judge Joe Brown's message has been amplified. But it was We All Be that brought Judge Joe Brown to y'all back in 2014. And so many others. And we covered so many things. So help us out so we can help you all. Peace.